It's been a while since doing a CR wrestling commentary. I don't really get to doing much. I was playing catch up and I finally caught up, more or less. I'm on task, so to speak. But, there's a situation that's come up and I've seen in Fire Pro Wrestling World federations and promotions. And, it's hard doing, exceedingly high quality storylines in a reasonable amount of time. It takes a lot of green screening. It takes planning, plotting. You got to have the right software. You have to have, you have to do a lot of things. But see, that's not really the hard part. It's difficult. It is hard, but it's not the hardest thing to do. And the hardest thing to do is the hardest thing to do in actual pro wrestling. So look, maybe I'm not saying I'm an expert on this, but please don't turn it away. Don't click off. Just hear me out. All right. Invasion is usually an angle. It's when one or more wrestlers go to another promotion and they invade. I mean, it's what they do, but it has to make sense. You hear what I'm saying? It must make sense. So I'm gonna give some examples of things that made and did not make sense, or made sense and then turned to not making sense. Let's go with one of the most famous quote unquote invasions, which has a lot of errors in it. This would be the New World Order, WCW. That came in with Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and ultimately Hulk Hogan. And then they got Eric Bischoff. Now, Hall and Nash, legendary tag team at the time, still are. Even after they're dead and gone, they will be one of the most legendary tag teams in pro wrestling history. Hall and Nash, the outsiders, So they come to WCW. I'm not going to go below the surface. I'm only going to stay on the surface at this. I just wanted it to be what you could see on screen. I'm not going backstage, behind the scenes and all that. I'm going on as a fan's point of view. That's what I want to come at this with. So they come in and, they're kind of, heckling Eric Bischoff, the announce table. They do their thing. They ultimately get a hold of Bischoff, powerbomb him. It's like, we're NWO, we're taking over. Okay, so me as a fan, I'm like, you're taking over. Okay, but who's in charge? Who's doing what? That's me as a fan then, and I'm watching it. And what happens? They get Bischoff, they get Hogan, they get some others. Okay, they start to grow. Oh crap, they're really taking over. They're taking over. And that's cool. And I thought that'd be awesome. But then, part of me, it had to hit. Oh, wait, they're just contracted wrestlers. They're supposed to be there. They're not going to, the talk is that, they just come out of nowhere. They come from the other company. But, you get to the point after about 3 weeks, you're like, oh, you're paid wrestling talent there. Okay. So you're on a contract with them. That's the only way it's going to happen. I thought that then as a fan. So they wrestle, they do their thing, they form their tag team, they're jumping people after matches, they're jumping them backstage. They're doing a lot of things, but here's the problem. When it comes to an invasion, you have to have an end game. What's your goal of being there? What's the point? You want to take over. You want to take over what? The wrestling scene, the wrestling company, or the level of popularity? I mean, what do you want to take over? So they want to take over WCW. Okay, fine. You want to take it over, but to what extent? So they grew and grew. They had at the time the International World Grand Prix Heavyweight Champion Scott Norton. They had they had Hogan, they had Randy Savage, they had Hall, Nash, Bischoff, Virgil. They had almost any and everybody in the NWO near its end. They even had They spray painted the ring. They spray painted wrestlers' backs. Everyone was like, that's so cool. It's so awesome. I love the NWO and on all this other stuff. And it would be nothing. And no one really wants to acknowledge this. It would have been nothing if they did not use already popular wrestlers. And somebody say, well, of course. Yeah, but see, if your invasion is going to be awesome, you don't need popular wrestlers. They don't need to be world popular. They don't. Now, when it came to having all these wrestlers, what happened? NWO had almost the entire WCW roster, to the point where they had to do tribalist factions. Okay? The Mexican, the Latino World Order, remember that? Won't much. Then you had those resistors. It was Diamond Dallas Page and a few others. So they were, to resist, and they were just bunch of lone wolves anyway. They didn't attack as a group. They didn't defend as a group. They were pretty much like, New Japan Pro Wrestling's Chaos faction right now. So at the point, there was almost the entire roster was New World Order. They had their own pay-per-views. They had the run of the land. It became boring. Who's going to challenge the NWO? They had tag titles. They had heavyweight title. They had U.S. title. They had all the belts. And if they didn't have the belt, then that's because it made sense for the babyface to win it. And it's like, yay, one for NWO. Yeah, now you can celebrate with you and the other 7 wrestlers that are not NWO. That's how it's bad, because how do you end it? That's the problem. NWO got to a point where you could not end it. It wasn't an invasion. It was an invasion that turned into a faction that basically turned into the company. So it failed. It retained popularity, but people hated it. Legit hated it. And it wasn't the heat of, you're the bad guy and I can't stand you. It was, I don't like you, specifically the wrestler, the person behind the wrestler. I don't like you, Terry Bollea. That's where it got to. It wasn't, I don't like Hulk Hogan. It was, I don't like you, Terry Bollea. I don't like you, the Outsiders. No, I don't like you, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. I really hate you, Eric Bischoff. People hated them. So when you do an invasion, it has to make sense. Invasions are meant to end. What the NWO turned it into was an occupation. And that's not cool. They occupied, grew, maintained, became self-sustained, and made it boring because you knew who was going to win. They had their own referee. It was all so rigged that there was no mystery in the wrestling anymore. There was no mystery. So then you've got other stuff, like here's other invasions, like when D-Generation X went to WCW's event in a tank of some sort. I'm like, they're not going to let him in the building. And they're not, and on WCW, I don't even recall them showing it. They showed them on WWE on USA. They showed them there, but they didn't show them on WCW's network on TNT. They didn't show it that way. So that's a poor invasion. And then you've got what other, the reason the invasion was poor, it was popular because, oh man, look at this. Look what they're doing. They're in a tank and they're yelling stuff. And people, for some reason, ate that up. And I don't get why. I was like, this is dumb that you're not getting in. Nobody wants to see you. Go back to your own place. And I thought to myself, wait a minute. These people are getting airtime to stand around the tank and yell and try to goad the people out of the arena that was hosting WCW's Nitro. They're not wrestling. And you pay to see wrestling, don't you? So that's what the issue was. Now you got other invasions that really don't make sense. No matter of fact, look, let me take one further. There was an ECW. And I think I don't know if it was Takamichi, no, it was Michinoku Pro or Dragon Gate that did a small invasion. And they attacked somebody. You had people that nobody really knew. Like, they were popular, but they weren't beloved popular. There's a difference. Like, Sting is beloved popular, you know. Naito Tetsuya is beloved popular. People like that. They're well known. They've got a following like crazy, and they've got a reputation. When you got someone who's popular but no following coming in and attacking someone that nobody even knows, and then declaring that you're going to take over the company, and then no one cares because what are you doing? And then you leave and no one remembers you. See, that's the problem. That's a big problem. And so now you've got wrestling federations or companies, they'll do their own invasion. So they'll get someone that's kind of known in one federation, bring it to theirs and say, you'll attack these people, you'll do these things. First show, you'll jump them in the ring, you'll beat on them, get on the microphone, you'll shout how this person suck or the company suck, and you're going to make it better, yada, yada, yada. Get some heat on you if you can, and leave. So the fans are like, boo, or kind of like, oh, this is cool, because even though you're the bad guy, you just came in to jump somebody that we're sick of, even though that person is a strong baby face. Like, there's no mistake. That person is the good guy. They are the protagonist. And you come in and jump them, and we can't stand them already. So, hey, good. I mean, one night stand, ECW, WWF. Well, E is supposed to invade ECW kind of thing, which was stupid. Because you got those who are loyal to ECW. And they're like, this is ECW, this is the ring, this is the arena, this is the setting. You will host an ECW style match. There will be hardcore, there will be epic wrestling. But then you get people like John Cena that come in, I'm popular, I'm the good guy here. I'm like, you're an idiot at this moment. You should know full well damn when you go into that kind of atmosphere, you are the villain. You can't throw your shirt out at the crowd and be like, we gotta see the shirt. No, they are like, screw you, man, here's your shirt back. And they threw it right back at him. He didn't know how to deal with it. And that is how you turn a legitimate baby face into a hated baby face. You do not have them. And then they'll say, if Cena wins, we riot. Like, they don't think this stuff through. You have to protect the business. So people, when you do an invasion, whether it is in a video game or outside of a video game, you have to contemplate firsthand, who are you sending? Why are you sending them? Who will they attack first? How will that resonate? And then how long will you stay? And most important, how do you exit with both sides looking good? How do you get the one that, because the one that invades has to be a heel. That's what they do. They have to be a bad guy or a good guy trying to make things better. And you got to get them over as that good guy making things better, as that face. You have to. So how do you do that? And then when it's all said and done, how do you depart without tearing your own or the partnered company's credibility asunder? How do you do that? You have to have an exit strategy. It makes sense. You have to make sure when your heel wrestler leaves, it could be in an epic match where they have a losing effort, and they might even leave under honorable principles. They could stand up and say, you were the better one this night. I'm out, and leave. And the fans will probably just be like, awesome. Or classic, defeated heel wrestler, if that's the way you went, and they're beaten. They eventually get up and they walk to the bat. The fans are hating them, yada, yada. but it leaves the defending company looking great. And then people might want to follow that heel wrestler if they were a good enough heel for that crowd, for that type of wrestling show. You've got to think these things through. And it's hard doing it for real wrestling. It's extremely difficult doing it for gaming wrestling. I've got an invasion going on, but it's of my own choosing, my own work. And getting the exit is going to be difficult because their exit might lead them to another promotion that I would like to try them in. But they have to have a legitimate way of leaving, per se legitimate, where they go and somebody might want to see them there. What do they do? How do they respond there? And it is up to that promoter. It is up to that promoter to showcase said wrestlers in the light that others would like to see them in. So when it comes to video game wrestling, it's not easy making sure that wrestlers come across as, decent or whatnot. So you have to make sure that your wrestlers are as compatible as possible to the ones that are invading. If not, then it's going to look terrible when the invaders get there and then your wrestlers are beating the hell out of them and your wrestlers might be gimmicked or over gimmicked. You have to think about this stuff. And I'm talking to everybody. I'm not singling anybody out. So if you feel singled out, say nothing in defense, because I don't need you drawing attention to yourself, because this is really blanketed, going for anyone for gaming or reality. It doesn't matter. So think about that stuff when you're working on your wrestlers. Think about that stuff if you're running a promotion. If you do an invasion, make sure it makes sense. Don't send John Baba Ganoush T Wackadoodle, over to a federation or promotion with an extremely popular wrestler, and then they attack them, and now they come in as who is this? Somebody done ran out. I don't know. See, your followers are going to follow that wrestler, and if that wrestler doesn't have enough following in their own promotion, then what's the point? Send somebody that the people recognize and like or hate heavily as a heel. And I mean that hate where they gotta watch them. They gotta see what's gonna happen. That's the kind of person you need to send. They have to be recognized. They can't be underviewed. That's all I really got to say. So I'm going to get up out of here. Please, if there are any corrections you need to make, anything like that, hey, kindly make them at the bottom in the comment section. You can do so, or check out any of my wrestling programs and come join me on Discord. There are chat rooms there. We can just have a back and forth vocal conversation, and it doesn't matter. But correct me down below. Subscribe. Like and click that gray bell. And, share it a little bit, and always, be conversational. I'm always up for conversation. So I'm getting out. This is Cedric for CR Wrestling Commentary for CR Fire Pro. Thank you for listening.